Revenge saving is taking over the internet. I am talking millions of people are adopting this concept by shifting their financial priorities from spending post-pandemic to aggressively saving money.
Many consumers want to stockpile cash right now to protect themselves from unexpected cost increases in the future. 71% of Americans prioritize emergency savings and flexibility.
So whether you are rich or poor, unemployed or working a 9-to-5, I want you to understand one very simple thing. Spending is out. Saving is in. So now the natural question is, with the economy uncertain, prices rising all over the place, how the heck can I boost my savings if I am barely making it by? Understand this, Chief. You are not alone. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, aka barely having no savings. And one of those was AJ. AJ is just like you and me. He was in credit card debt, he was working a low-income 9-to-5, and what did he do? He made saving his #1 priority, and in 12 months, he bought himself a house. How did he do that? Not by buying some dumbass course, not signing up for a webinar, but making his financial health and saving his #1 priority. So that's our hero. I want to follow his journey of how he developed the mindset to save before everything else and to unlock himself financial freedom. And what kind of role do I play in this? I am simply your finance bestie. My name's Kenny Finance, and I am the private equity dude that spent 10 years working on Wall Street at the best firms in the entire world. And one thing I know is every smart money move under the sun. And my mission is to give it all away completely for free. So subscribe to the channel, lock in, and let's figure out how you guys can boost your revenge savings. Let's rock. All right, legends, so now that you're buckled in, let's unpack who the heck is AJ. Well, the first disclaimer is he's my cousin. We grew up together. The second disclaimer is he was one of the first 3 subscribers to my YouTube channel. I don't know where I'm at right now at the time of this video, but it's grown from that. And if you aren't a subscriber, consider subscribing to the family where we do nothing but make smart money moves. And FYI, AJ's in here. And you might see his name in one of the comments, and if you do see him, tell him hi, congrats, and tell him you're freaking crushing it, legend. Okay, so back on to him. He's 31. At the time when we first kicked off his savings journey, he was living at home with his parents, and then also he was working a 9-to-5 job earning about $15 to $20 an hour. So not the highest paying job in the entire world. And he was swimming in credit card debt, but he also had 2 clear goals: get out of debt and buy himself his own house. Which he did both, which is kind of epic. And literally, what did we do? I made content, I sent him notes, and I said, this is a pretty clear playbook of how you can get out of debt, save, and buy yourself a house and invest. And he took notes, he leaned in, and he did exactly step by step. And in 12 months, he bought himself his very first house. Like, he's chilling with his dog and plants and animals. He's crushing it. Now, what exactly did he do over the course of that 12 months? He built himself what I like to call the 5-level savings house. And we're going to use that analogy and diagram to showcase how exactly you can go from floor 0 to floor 5, aka the rooftop, of building yourself a sound foundation and savings. So let's start off at the ground floor, level 0, which I like to call the audit. The audit is where you do your investigation on yourself and your personal finances. This is where we outline, where does all my money go? Literally downloading statements, looking at your credit card bill, and mapping out every single cent that leaves your life. Where has it gone to? Putting it into buckets and understanding, where are you spending? Where are you saving? Where are you investing? For the spending, what is necessary? What is not necessary? Looking at receipts and questioning every single cent. That was the first step to build the foundation, is auditing your financials to understand, where does your dollars even go? What did he find when he audited himself? He saw that he was spending some money at casinos and gambling money that he didn't really have. When he ran into financial trouble, he was taking out loans. When he was spending on his credit card, he wasn't paying the credit card off the time. So he started to see interest started to creep up on his credit card statements. Like, understanding the roadmap of dollars and consequences and the trends of unnecessary spending helps you do that audit to understand, where is all your money going. And after you have that audit completed, then you can transition to the next floor, which is level 1 of budgeting. Now, I say this all the time on all my platforms: if you do not budget, you will financially fail. Because if you do not know when dollars come into your life, where to allocate it, you do not know how to build yourself a sound saving, investing, and spending pattern. It's that simple. Like, if you don't have a map or a rubric, like, how can you understand how to play this game of life? At least financially. Like, of course, you want to freeball a lot of different things, but what you don't want to freeball is your money. Because I'm telling you, human behavior will allow for you to spend things on what you desire and what you want, not what you need. So having a budget develops discipline to make smart financial decisions. Very simple. Now, what kind of budget did AJ make? AJ made himself a 50-30-20 budget. This is very simple, and it works all the time for anyone of any income range. 50-30-20. This means that 50% of your income should be spent towards your needs. I'm talking needs, all right? Housing, car, food, medical bills, utilities, anything that is essential for you to wake up, go to work, go to school, and live and survive. That is what your dollar should go into, allocating 50% towards that. Now the next, 30% towards your wants. This is dining out, going to the gym, hanging out with friends, getting your nail done, hair done, everything did. That's what 30% is for. And then the last one, 20%, is savings and investing. That's the core focus of this video. But he made sure that he understood all of his needs, all of his wants, and then his saving and investing. Now the cheat code, what he did, is he looked at that 30% of the wants and cut out so much unnecessary spending, unnecessary wants, and he reallocated that to his saving and investing. So then it started to become 20% wants, 30% saving and investing. Then it became 10% wants, 40% saving and investing. And the next thing you do it, he was spending half of his income on his needs, then the other half on saving and investing. That's the revenge savings right there. He aggressively attacked that budget allocation of putting his dollars half towards needs and half towards savings. And once he got into a routine and a regular motion with his budgeting to where it became second nature, he went up to the next level. Level 2 is emergency savings. Now, an emergency savings is such a mission-critical thing for anyone to have. It's kind of like having a spare tire in the back of your car in the case of a tire flat, right? Like, if anything happens, you are okay. Now, what is an emergency savings fund? This is a fund or an account that you have that has 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. Remember what I said? That 50% of your needs, that is your living expenses. You take 50% of that needs of what you need every single month. You multiply that by 3 to 6. If your needs add up to $2,000 per month and you want to have an emergency savings fund, you need to be having $6,000 to $12,000 in an emergency savings fund, no question about it, okay? 3 to 6 months of however much you need to live every single month, because you never know. You could have a medical emergency, you could have a relative that needs money, you could have a house that burns down, or you could lose your job, or you could get sick. You need to make sure that if anything happens in life, you financially are okay for 3 to 6 months. So that's what he started to build, is that emergency savings fund, which he's in the process of right now, of building that 3 to 6 month war chest. Now here's where I encourage him to spice it up a little bit. Originally, what he wanted to do was take that 3 to 6 months of living expenses that was saved up, pure cash. He wanted to put it in a shoebox. He wanted to put it in his banking account, checkings or savings. And I was like, broski, this is the home of smart money moves. We can do better. So then I encouraged him to sign up for a high yield savings account, which is literally the exact same thing as a banking account with higher interest rates. There's no difference. You can take it out whenever you want. Anything, Betterment, Robinhood, Goldman Sachs Markets, high yield savings accounts exist. Sign up for them. And what he did was he put it into Betterment, where he was getting around a 3% interest rate on his savings, as opposed to nothing, having it in a shoebox. Now he's cooking. So let's appreciate how this guy's cooking right now. He did an audit to understand every single dollar that comes into his life. Where is it going? He then made himself a 50-30-20 budget. He then took that savings and investing and had 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high yield savings account. Now he's on level 3, which is appreciating savings. Now this is where you take your game to the moon. You're not stressing as much. There's not as much financial anxiety because you do have a backdrop. You do have an emergency savings fund. So the savings is good, clipping 3% per year. So with that foundation, what do you do with that extra cash? What you do is you have a two-pronged savings approach, which is a hybrid. Of course, you have your high yield savings account clipping 3% per year. You let that rock and roll with that 3 to 6 months of living expenses. You never touch it unless you need emergencies. But everything else, you put that into an index fund. So all incremental savings then gets put into the investing bucket, where guess what? You aren't getting 0% a year in your shoebox. You aren't getting 3% a year in your high yield savings account. You are then getting 10% per year in the stock market. And by the way, index funds are the greatest investment you can ever make in your entire life. Warren Buffett says it, I say it, you should get it. Index funds are essentially a basket of stocks that represent a diversified portfolio of publicly traded companies. You can buy an index fund for the S&P 500, for tech companies, for industrial businesses, anything that you have conviction on, you can buy an index for. And the best thing you can do is buy one, regularly put more money into it, and never touch it. So what do you do with that incremental savings? After you have your emergency set up, you put it into index funds and you let it sit for the long haul. Like, take a look at this chart that I made for you. I'm going to break down over the course of 3 different options what happens to your money if you have $5,000 and incrementally save for 30 years. One version is cash, right? That is putting it in your checkings or your savings account and essentially collecting zero interest. So if you start off with $5,000 and you incrementally put in $5,000 each year, guess what you have at the end of 30 years? $155,000. This is where it gets interesting. So if you start off with $5,000 and you incrementally put in $5,000 each year into a high yield savings account, which is the exact same thing as a checkings or savings account, but with a higher interest rate. Same liquidity, you can access it anytime, it just grows faster. How much faster? At a 3% interest rate this time. Now look at how different this number is. At the end of that 30 years, you are sitting at $250,000. Now, it's not like FU money, but that is a $100,000 difference just by having it in a different account. The purpose is still exactly the same, but the returns are significantly better. Now, as always, my smart money warriors, we can always take this up to another freaking level. You take that $5,000, you incrementally put $5,000 more into what? Index funds. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to take $5,000 that you have, put it into an SPY index fund and never touch it. And every single year, put another $5,000. This is what happens. What you will see is you will have a balance of almost $900,000. That is right, $900,000. That is almost a 5 times better return than what you would have got if you put it in cash. This just shows the power of compound interest, but also appreciating assets. So that's why I say cash is king when cash is working for you. So put your cash into things that are going to appreciate and grow for you as well. All right, let's keep it going. Because I told AJ I'm going to give you every single secret that I learned on Wall Street, and there is more that we can do. So let's go to level 4, baby. The rooftop. I told you he bought a house, right? Freaking epic. What does he do with that house? He has that house, the house appreciates. I told him to do this. You refinance that house, and after you refinance it, you have extra cash from that appreciation of the property value. You use that extra cash, you buy yourself a fixer-upper property, and what you do is, you buy that second property, you fix it up, you rent it out. That cash flow from renting it out, you then use to pay down the mortgage on that rental property, as well as the mortgage on your existing house. And then boom, you no longer have a housing expense, which was a large chunk of that 50% or needs. So where does the rest of the cash go from his income? You put it into the investing, which is in that index fund, which also is on that rocket ship, by the way. I don't think you guys are getting it here. Like, this is smart money moves, okay? So then, AJ, the next step for you, I want you to buy yourself a business. I want you to use that portfolio, get yourself a liquidity access line to then go and find a cemetery business or a funeral home, which is in the space that you've worked in, you have expertise, and I want you to buy one of those things, which are cash flowing on day one. So not only do you have your real estate portfolio appreciating, not only do you have your index funds growing to the moon, you also have a boring cash flowing business printing cash flow every single year for you, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids. And why'd you do that? Because you watched Skinny Finance. I love this. Now, what didn't he do? He didn't buy a course. He didn't sign up for a webinar. He just simply followed a framework of building this 5-level savings house. It's that easy, guys. All right? So bookmark this, save this, revisit this, do whatever you need to do. Take notes like he did and apply this to your everyday life, because these principles apply to literally every single person in the entire world. Just have the wherewithal to make it happen, guys. I believe in you. Now, he's graciously offered to share his time and wisdom with other folks in a similar personal financial journey. So check him out in our Discord, the Smart Money Moves Discord, where you can chat with him and you can chat with other people that are in similar circumstances. How are they saving? How are they investing? What hacks do they have to spend less money? Things like that. It's a fun, dope community that is completely free for folks just to get around each other and make smarter financial decisions. It's that simple. Make smart money moves and connect with other people that are making smarter money moves, and next thing you know, you both are making smarter financial decisions. That's what it's about. So now that AJ is in the process of building generational savings, he is now exploring what it takes to build generational investments. And for that, I made him this video where I outlined the last 15 years of my experience working on Wall Street and the smart money moves when it comes to investing. So check out that next video. And if you enjoyed this, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. It means the world to me as well as the rest of the community. And I appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Making smarter money moves, baby. Peace.